We are joined by Hillel Barrel, the former director at Israel's National Security Council. Hillel Barrel, how do you see the latest escalation and Israel's response to the attack on Golan Heights? It has released footage of strikes carried out deep inside Lebanon in retaliation.
Well, I'm afraid this, to me, was almost inevitable. The fighting up north between Israel and Hezbollah has been going on for a very long time, and I think it had to be a matter of time before one of the sides made a mistake, miscalculated, most likely would have been Hezbollah, as we saw, and created a situation that required, a response required escalation, which is what we saw yesterday with the terrible tragedy up north in Majd al-Shams by the border between Israel and Lebanon. So the outcome itself, I'm afraid, was not particularly surprising. That something was going to happen that would cause escalation, I feel was inevitable. You talk about Israeli retaliation. I would state this the beginning of Israeli retaliation. Just attacking some targets, valuable as they may be, in the depth of Lebanon will probably not provide the kind of retaliatory answer that Israel needs to provide at this time.
Right. The Israeli attacks on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon has also angered Iran, which has warned Israel of consequences. Do you fear an even bigger threat in the region?
Right. Well, Iran is obviously behind all of this. Iran is behind the Hezbollah attack. Iran is the provider of the Palk rocket, 53 kilos of detonation that killed 12 children, Druze kids, Israelis yesterday. Iran is behind the Houthi attacks towards Israel, including the one in Tel Aviv. Nobody has any illusions about what Iran's role is. So it is no surprise that in an attempt to protect its proxy, it will issue all sorts of warnings. But these are not warnings that would deter Israel from retaliating in a way that it feels it needs to retaliate at this time.
If we talk about Hezbollah's Hooper mission, it had carried out drone surveillance of various targets in Israel. Do you see this attack as part of its wider campaign?
I think we can see that Hezbollah is trying to deny that it carried out the attack, despite the fact that we have absolute proof that Hezbollah is standing behind it, not the least of which is that it's the only organization holding this particular rocket at this level of detonation. So the reason, though, that they're trying to deny their involvement and move away from it is that it was obviously a very bad mistake, not just because of Israeli retaliation, but because of the fact that they basically murdered 12 children. The fact that these children were Druze might make a difference to Hezbollah. It doesn't make a difference here to Israel. We're all brothers, and the Druze are Israeli citizens, and they fight with us. So they're Israelis for every purpose. But Hezbollah, I think, would have preferred for this situation not to have occurred, and they made a strategic mistake.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has vowed strong action against Hezbollah over the attack. In fact, he had hastened his visit back from Washington. What do you have to say about this?
Well, it's expected that he would speak these words and that he would issue these kind of statements. However, it is my strong belief that the Israeli security system understands that it is in Israel's best interest to respond fully and resolve the Hezbollah issue in the place and time that we choose, rather than a responsive way to just terrible, tragic, really murderous attack by this terrorist organization. We have no confusion who is facing us on the other side, but Israel, as you know, is also fighting in Gaza at the same time. And while it certainly can sustain two fronts, the question is, does it need to? Is that what will promote Israeli security best at this time? So those are going to be questions carefully considered. Of course, there will be retaliation. Of course, there will be response. Will it escalate to the level of full war between Israel and Hezbollah? I don't think so. I hope not. I believe both sides want to avoid that. And mostly, I believe it's in Israel's interest to launch that war and secure its border at the time and constellation that it chooses, and not in a responsive way.
Helen Barrell, thank you for joining us on the broadcast, giving us your perspective.
Thank you very much.